Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network. 'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven. A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at ubnradio.com.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, love, laugh, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Fay on ubnradio.com.
And welcome. My name is Dr. Marissa, the new Asian Dr. Ruth, and you're listening to my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at noon on your phone or computer at www.ubnradio.com out of the Sunset Gower lot in Hollywood, California. And I'm here with my cute station manager, Tony Sweet, and my sensational sound engineer, Christian Guerrera. And I am sad and happy for Christian. He has finished his degree and is leaving me for a full-time gig, so thank you for sharing a short drive of your life highway with me. I am grateful. And a shout out to my fabulous valet guy, Alex, and another one to the awesome security manager, Maurice. And for those of you who are tuning into this show for the first time, this is a show about hope and how you can be happy 88% of the time. I encourage you to put on a life jacket with a silver lining and cover topics and guests so there is no CNN, no constantly negative news, no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words, no Kardashian talk. And this is the last Tuesday of the month, so guess what we're talking about? Here's the hint. Yes, it's time. It's the last Tuesday of the month when we cover sex. The series is called Sexual Healing because one of the areas that can make you very happy or very unhappy is sex. If you've missed any of my sizzling hot sex shows, Booty Calls with Dr. Pat Allen, G-Spots with Dr. Robin Milhausen, and Orgasms with Justine Dawson, go to YouTube and iTunes for a free download and give me the finger while you're at it. I mean thumbs up for a great review. And Dr. Robin, who I'm going to introduce right now, is my co-host for this series. She's a popular TV personality from her role as host of one of Life Network's past top-rated show, Sex, Toys, and Chocolate in Canada, as well as featured as a sex education correspondent on 3 Takes and Revamped. On the academic side, Dr. Milhausen is a University of Guelph professor where her research focuses on gender, sexuality, desire, sexual problems, and arousal. She is a respected leader on sexual education and relationships and currently on a speaking tour of Canadian universities and colleges sponsored by Trojan, talking about sexual pleasure and sexual health. Please welcome Dr. Robin Milhausen. It's that time of the month, Dr. Robin.
I'm excited. I wait all month.
Well, so happy to have you. You're actually calling in from a different location today. You're in Banff?
Yeah, we're in Banff, Alberta. Beautiful at the foot of the mountains.
Ooh, and you're there because?
I am with an international team of researchers who study condom use. In fact, luckily, we're going to be joined later in our interview today with an international leader in condom use. But we are working on interviewing people around Banff about sexual health behaviors. That's why we're here.
Awesome. And today's question of the week is, we're going to balance it out because we've been talking about pleasure and how to get pleasure in the bedroom for women and how to ask for it. So today it's all about the men. So men, obviously, that's why we invited a researcher to come on and talk about condoms and getting more pleasure when you have a condom on. So what do men want? What turns men on? What you like, what you don't like? So it's all about you, men. So hopefully there's enough of you tuned in to make this tantalizing. If you'd like to call in today with a question, it's 323-284-7826. So, Dr. Robin, you're the researcher. Tell me, what turns men on?
Well, luckily, I think for women who are partnered with men, there are actually a lot of similarities in terms of the things that men and women are interested in the bedroom. And this is because I think we often position men and women as coming from totally different planets and interested in totally different things.
The Mars and
But
Venus.
some of the top things that men really want in the bedroom are things that women would want as well. Two of them are enthusiasm and variety. So all of us want to know that our partner would rather be nowhere else than with us in this sexual encounter, engaging in these sexual activities, with us. If our partner's enthusiastic and we feel like they're not just punching the time clock, we are happy. And so men really want an engaged, enthusiastic partner. And we also, both men and women, often call for more variety. So it can really deaden sexual satisfaction if you're doing the exact same behaviors in the exact same way at the exact same time. So men would absolutely advocate for more variety, and probably so would many women as well.
So let's go back to enthusiasm for a second, because we've talked about how difficult it is in this day and age with all the schedules the way they are with women. I know I said this is about men today, but it is going to help the men if the women can not fake enthusiasm, but how can women be more enthusiastic? Or how does a woman get to the point where she wants, where she looks forward to it in the way that a man would like?
I think that's where it's up to all of us to determine what kind of sex would really get us ready for sex. Like, what kind of sex gets our juices flowing? And women are responsible for thinking about, like, how can they generate that enthusiasm? I'm sure women would also rather have enthusiastic sex than sex that they can't wait for it to be over. So thinking back to when was the last really great time and how can we recreate those conditions? I also think allowing yourself to be open to the possibility sex might be great, even if you don't really feel like it at this exact moment, because sometimes, we get really turned on, as soon as the sex has happened, or as after sex has gone on for a little bit, we get more aroused and we can be very, very satisfied by a sexual encounter. So maybe our desire isn't through the roof when we start, but that doesn't mean we can't be enthusiastic about connecting with our partner in that way and feeling closer together and knowing we're going to have a better sleep that night and knowing our partner's going to be happier the next morning. If we think about different motivations for sex, not just ravenous desire, but all those other benefits to having sex, I think we can generate more enthusiasm, as well as creating great sex. Like, it's not surprising we don't want boring old sex, same old way we always have it. So let's try and figure out how we can make sex exciting, and then we'll be more enthusiastic about having it, all of us.
Right. I actually did a little informal poll with all of my closest friends, who will remain nameless, and I polled some of my male friends, and I asked them, what would constitute a woman being enthusiastic? What are things that they deem as, okay, she's ready to go? So what are her cues? Because apparently, and I've heard this before, you can validate with your research, that the men are looking actually for the cues from women. So here women are waiting for the man to make the first move, or not wanting the man to make the first move. And men are actually waiting for that cue. And so I know that some of my friends said, as soon as you get something on that's not comfortable, like if you walk in the room with some lingerie or something low cut or something a little see-through, that is enthusiasm right there, and that can be it can be just the spark that's needed. And so that's one thing. The other thing is just sheer adoration. So instead of criticizing, which I have to admit, when you're a high-achieving, professional, successful woman, and you are successful pretty much all day for solving problems, and one of the things you do when you solve problems is you find out what's wrong. So if you come home with that mindset of looking for what is wrong that needs to be fixed, and you transfer that to, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Or why is this still not done? Or, there's no way that can be ever interpreted as enthusiasm to want to connect. So if you, I had a friend just say, if you adore the man, if you can just right out of the box say, you are fabulous, you are, I heard great things about you at work today, whatever it is, then that will also lead to the spark. And it looks like we might have a caller. So, Dr. Robin, do you mind if we take this and see who's there?
Sure, let's do it.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. You're talking to Dr. Marissa. Welcome to the show.
Oh, hi there. This is Rick Crosby from the University of Kentucky.
Oh, wonderful, Rick. We were expecting you just in a little bit, but that's okay. We will shift our schedule around. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Dr. Robin, could you do me the honors in introducing this very special guest we have today?
Sure, absolutely. It's a real pleasure to welcome Rick to the show. Rick is a longtime colleague of mine and an internationally renowned condom researcher. He is a professor and chair of the Department of Health Behavior at the University of Kentucky and a member of our Kinsey Institute condom use research team. So this man knows, I think, more about condoms than anyone on the planet, and he can help us figure out ways to make using condoms more exciting for men.
Well, thank you, Rick, for joining us. And I don't know if Dr. Robin prepared you. This is a show about sexual healing. And today's question of the week is, what do men want? And I wanted to focus because we do a lot of focusing on the women. Obviously, both of us are women. And so she suggested that you come on, and I jumped at it because I think it's really important that I also balance out my focus on women to talk about men and how they can have more pleasure as well. And condoms is a very interesting area where I don't know about most of my listeners, but I know that when I think of condom, I think of diminished pleasure automatically. Like most of the men that I know would prefer, if you ask them, would you like to have sex with or without a condom? It would be pretty much hands down without a condom because of the sensitivity.
Common.
Yes. So, but you are actually doing research to see how to increase pleasure with a condom. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed.
Great.
Yeah, so I think there are many things that men want. And one of those we often overlook. And that is, like women, men need to let go in bed. They need to be able to focus on the sensation of sex, the feeling of the partner, the emotions. And so for many men, actually thousands and thousands, if not millions in the United States, there are fears that prevent that letting go. These fears deal with very real possibilities of becoming infected with very common sexually transmitted diseases. Chlamydia, very common. Gonorrhea, very common. HIV, not so common, but of course the fear can be overwhelming. And probably the most common in our country is herpes and genital warts, the viral infections. And men worry about these things. They may not express those fears. And of course, pregnancy as well. And so one of the things we try to do with men in STD clinics where they've already been infected, treated, and for men that have a viral infection that cannot be treated, they're living with that temporarily, if it's HPV, genital warts, or if it's herpes, they're living with that for the rest of their lives. And so the fear exists in those men on two fronts. One, they're worried about getting something else. And two, they're worried about giving one of their infections, whether it's herpes or genital warts, to a partner. And men do worry about that. Again, they may not verbalize it. So one of the things we do is we talk about better sex with latex. Better sex with latex is all about letting men focus on sex instead of their fears. Whatever fears they may have can be dismissed. But as you pointed out, and you're so correct, men and women both often feel like taking the condom out of the drawer and putting it on is a mood killer. Wearing the condom is a mood killer. And really, so many people feel like this just destroys the whole idea of intimacy, trust, and so on. We try to look at condoms as sex toys. And really, the way they're being constructed today, there's no reason that can't be a reality. There's so many different new condoms coming out all the time. So you have sizes in terms of length, sizes in terms of girth. You have textures, colors, shape, super, super thin. And the best thing that men like most of all, beyond all these selections they can pick from, are the new lubricants on the market. Every day, again, we have new things to pick from. The most important, I think, right now is the silicone lubricants, because they last for so long and they maintain that nice, slippery feeling without ever drying up. So these let both partners enjoy sex. So if we're talking about men having sex with women, both parties win here.
Right.
And so the other thing that's part of this better sex with latex is that
sounds like a
men
commercial.
may want to invite their partners to put the condom on.
Ah, okay. And that might
Very
help
important.
the stimulation or the arousal.
Well, not just that, but, you know, this is kind of, again, like playing in bed. These are toys. Let women dress their men. Let women decide, oh, I really want to see what you look like in this one, or you would look awesome in this one, or wow, that one really makes you look big. So she can decide what she wants to put on him.
Love it.
And that can be a game in its own right. That can be a
So there's like a
sexual ritual.
selection.
Oh, let's try this one tonight.
Interesting. It could absolutely be on your bucket list, right? Let's try an assortment of condoms, and that's the date. It's condom picking date. I think
It's exactly right.
I think that's a
There's
great
no
idea.
reason you couldn't do that. And there are so many. You could have sex probably every night for a year and never use the same condom twice.
Hopefully not. But so I have to ask you, Dr. Crosby, how the heck did you get into researching about condoms? Like, did you get your degree and go, I want to do research about condom? Take me back to sort of how you got interested in this.
Oh, sure. Happy to. My first research when I was a doctoral student at Indiana University was with over 2,000 low-income women in the state of Missouri. And I really want to know why they did not always have sex that involved condoms. And I found primarily two reasons. The biggest was feeling. So often women reported they don't like the feeling of sex when a condom's being used. And the next biggest was trust. And so that launched my career. And as I became more and more involved in research, I learned, working with people like Dr. Milhausen, that in fact we have thousands of people all over the world who we've studied telling us the same thing, men and women, that condoms don't fit right. They don't feel good. But we also learned that they're only using one size, and they're not really learning that, hey, condoms come in a range of sizes, just like anything else. When I talk to people in my studies or even audiences, I always compare condoms to shoes. And all of us know that you have to have just the right fit, or that shoe is not going to feel good, and you're not going to be confident in that shoe. It's not a bit different with condoms. You've got to have the condom that fits you just right and looks just right on you. It feels good. And what that is for one man will be very different than for another. And for the one man who finds the perfect fit and feel and look and texture, it may differ for him depending on his partner. So what we've done in the past is we've really encouraged people in so many ways, including actual homework assignments, to try out various condoms. We give these condoms to people, and we ask them, just go home and try these, and maybe try them alone until you find one that you really, really like, and maybe 2 or 3 others as a backup plan. And more what we're doing now is having partners do that as well, so that female partners can participate in the selection of condoms. Again, this is a really nice way for people who have risk. In long-term couples where they've been together forever, this is not an important thing to do.
Right.
But when you have people, and so many people are finding good, pleasurable sex with partners they don't know, and maybe they don't want to know the partners. Maybe they don't even want to know each other's names, but they still want to have good sex. That's where condoms become so critical, so important. And it's really then the idea that you can have better sex with latex, let go of your fears, let go of your reservations, let go of anything that's intruding on your thoughts.
Right.
Because men can have just all kinds of different orgasms. An orgasm is not an orgasm. Men can have a deep level of orgasm if they can let themselves just abandon the moment and give in to their partner.
So just curious, I was just speaking with another colleague of mine, and she was talking about the 11 different kinds of orgasms that women can have. Do you do research on how many different kinds of orgasms men can have?
Well, that is research that has to be done because we know enough about the male physiology and the sexual response to hypothesize that there may be an equal number of levels of orgasm that a male is capable of having. But people, sadly, have ignored that research. So many men define their orgasm by their ejaculate.
Right.
Once they ejaculate, they feel like that was their orgasm. They confuse the two things, and the two things should not be confused. They are, in fact, different. So men can have a full-body response to orgasm, but again, fears and intruding thoughts will take away from that. So that's why our slogan, Better Sex with Latex, is being used, and we're using this
so
in
it
the
is
States
a slogan. It's very catchy. It rhymes, sort of.
Oh, thank you, yes. We're using in the States that have the worst epidemic of HIV, and men really resonate with this. They've been told forever the reasons to use condoms, and they've been told that you're at risk of disease, and that disease message doesn't play well.
That's absolutely. So you're taking the positive angle, literally, and focusing on the pleasure side. That's great. Great balance.
And this is a really novel approach. I have never heard any other researcher refer to condoms as a sex toy and thinking about ways that condoms can be used as sex toys. So it's very novel and it's exciting. I think we also haven't heard people talk about the way condoms look and the way a man might want to feel attractive, hot, or sexy in the kind of condom he's wearing. So I think that's a really neat way to think about positioning condoms as fun and exciting and as enhancing our body image.
I can see the designer condom coming out right now. We'll see who the first designer is going to jump on that.
That's a great
one.
image.
Right? You can have the Burberry colors on. Sorry.
I want to see all the advertisements of men modeling the condoms.
Yeah, that would be, I can remember, here's a side note, going to a toga party at a very liberal camp, and you were told to wear something sexy, and this guy showed up with nothing except a condom. So he was ahead of his time, right? Yes. So, okay, here's another off-the-wall question. How do you actually do research in this area? I mean, I can visualize sort of this candy box of condoms, or going back and doing a rating, or tell me, put me out of my
Sure.
misery.
Well, we actually give men what we call a tour through the condom buffet. We lay condoms out in an office that's probably 100 square feet on tables, and we give them a tour. We show them each one. It's like going shopping again for shoes. You have a guided sales trip, and you learn all about the features of each and every one, as well as equal featuring of the lubricants, because those are also complex to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
And we provide them with a very handsome, rugged-looking canvas bag that's probably 3 inches square and has a clip, so they can clip that onto their pant loop.
Mm-hmm.
So they fill up a bag with things they'd like to try, and they try these out either alone or with a partner, and we have them come back every month and refill their bag, again with a guided tour.
Uh-huh.
And men will always find what they like, and they involve their partners. The partners give advice, and eventually they settle down to 2 or 3 go-to brands.
Now, did you use a Likert scale and have them actually rate when you come back, or do they fill out a form, or how does that work?
Actually, Dr. Milhausen and I have done studies where we have actually assigned them homework. We've had them take, let's say, 14 condoms, 7 different types, 2 of each, and we've had them rate each one. But the reason we do the rating is so they actually feel compelled to try the condom and think as they're trying it how they feel about X, Y, and Z factors.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so all I know about condoms is there's small, medium, large, extra large. And so, most men like to say that they are the extra large. And then ribbed, no ribbed, lubricant, no lubricant. Is there anything else I'm missing?
Well, we have different textures, we have different thicknesses, and we have multiple sizes way beyond the small, medium, and large, and extra large. In fact, some companies now are coming out with as many as 90 different sizes.
Wow.
So, and of course, the size is a size. It's like, again, shopping for shoes or clothes.
Right. Every time you say that, Dr. Crosby, by the way, I think about someone getting a blister. It's just...
Yes, indeed.
So
very likely. If the condom doesn't fit, it's not going to feel good.
Are there literally blisters? No. You can't get a blister from a condom, right?
Well, the female partner could be irritated if the condom isn't lubricated well.
Okay.
So, yeah, there could be vaginal irritation.
All right.
And for men, their pubic hairs
go ahead.
get caught. Often a small condom on a male, if he's not shaving his pubic hairs, will trap those pubic hairs. So no blisters on the penis, but certainly, damage to the couple.
Okay. Sorry, Dr. Robin, you were going to say something?
One exciting development in terms of condoms is their new shape. And the handy thing is if you're looking at the back of the box, wherever you happen to be buying condoms, if you're buying them, they often have a picture of the shape of the condom. And I encourage people to look for one that is tighter at the base but then widens out along the shaft of the penis, because tighter at the base can help to hold it in place. But if it's wider along the shaft of the penis or around the head of the penis, that means the condom can slide a little bit, especially with a little bit of water-based lubricant inside, which will help to facilitate sensation but also decrease friction and breakage. So it feels good if it's not skin tight all the way along the shaft of the penis. And a lot of new condoms, basically every big brand, has one or more model that's tighter at the base and looser along the shaft.
And then my guess is that with the research you do, it's almost a way of doing some R&D for the condom making companies so that they are making things that the consumer wants. Yes?
I suspect that's true. I'm sure they read our articles that we publish. And I think the condom companies have done a wonderful job being responsive to the sexual needs of the consumer. We've really lost the days forever, thank goodness, when we've called it a prophylactic. Those days are over. And condom companies do understand that they have to come out with new products that are sexy, cool, feel good, look good, And again, different types of lubricants provide different types of sensation. I would really emphasize to people listening today that, in fact, this is like burgers and fries. Sorry to change metaphors, but there's no point in one without the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to have a hamburger, get the fries. The condom without the lube is not going to feel right.
Really? Okay, yeah, I was just going to ask you about that because you mentioned the two hand in hand, literally, often. So that is a whole, the old perception is you don't really need lube until you're older and the woman's going through menopause, or I call it menopause, and then you need some lube. So you're saying that with more condom use, because men are wanting to protect themselves and or have better sex with latex, that lubrication is now necessary. It's not an extra bonus.
Really,
it's a
yeah,
partnership
it's really not
between
an
the
option
two.
Because
okay.
the lubricant is going to provide the ability to feel more like skin-to-skin sex. If the sex is only lasting for 2 minutes, then maybe that's not an issue. But certainly when couples are pursuing good sex, they're having penetrative intercourse that's going to last long enough that whatever lubrication came with that condom will be absorbed through the walls of the vagina.
That was my question. What about lubricated condoms?
Exactly. You've got to keep it lubricated.
So that goes away. How long? How long does the pre-lubed condoms last?
Probably 3 minutes would be about the max.
3 minutes, really? Okay. So I was under the understanding, see, I'm learning so much today, that lubricated condoms would be lubed for the entire act.
Not at all.
Unless
that
you
would
have
be
a short
a
act.
nice idea if you're the condom company, but the lubrication that is made by a different company really needs to be added frequently. So couples have to learn, all right, let's take a little just time out, 2 seconds, please. That's all I need. I'm going to withdraw completely, put some more lube on, and now let's go back again. So it's really very important because, again, one of the worst feelings that women report, and this was original research, and Dr. Milhausen and I have seen it many times since with our studies, is that women complain that the condom dries out the vagina.
So it's a necessary. Wow, all of my paradigms are being busted today around condoms. That's great. So
well, that's a good thing,
advocate. Yeah. I advocate for lubricant for manual stimulation as well. I mean, I say we shouldn't go near genitals dry. Never go near the genitals dry. So it's not just for sex, but it makes foreplay or other sexual activities more exciting when they're slippery.
That's a mental model that some people are going to have to shift, because I know that there are some that feel when it's it's too messy when it's wet, or when it's there's just too much moisture. So wet is good. So lubrication is good. Wet is good.
In fact, one of our other slogans is wetter is better.
You're good. You're
Well,
like a branding company here. So better
and
with.
If you can get past the mess, the pleasure you feel, the increased pleasure you feel, I think quickly change your mind about that. So you just have to try it to see that it's way better when it's slippery. And there's a candy store selection of different kinds of lubricants in terms of tastes and thicknesses and brands, and vegan organic versus flavored like creme caramel. So it's a toy as opposed to a medical device for somebody with a dryness problem.
There's a vegan condom, Dr. Robin?
No, we're talking about lubricants.
There's a vegan lubricant?
Yes, there are. There are more than one. Really?
That's there's something new. I'm just getting blown up all over here. So I hear the music. We're going to come right back with Dr. Crosby, but I wanted a chance to talk about our sponsor of today's show, which Dr. Robin is an expert on, because she will be presenting there. I don't know if Dr. Crosby is going to be attending, but This week's sponsor is the annual Guelph Sexuality Conference. It's the largest and longest, pun intended, running sexuality conference in Canada. This year's theme is Celebrating Family Diversity, June 19th and 20th. The website is www.guelphsexualityconference.ca, and go there to register for the 36th annual conference, Action, Advocacy, and Affirmation. And there's, I believe, an early bird price still, Dr. Robin?
Yes, just a few more days until the 30th.
Wonderful. So please go there. You will get to talk to Dr. Robin in person, as well as enjoy, I think it's for the whole family, right, Dr. Robin?
Well, the theme is Celebrating Family Diversity, and so there will be some family-friendly presentations as well, but we'll be celebrating families of all kinds at this event.
Wonderful. So we'll see you there. www.guelphsexualityconference.ca.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, love, laugh, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Fay on ubnradio.com.
And we're back. You're listening to Dr. Robin and Dr. Crosby joining on Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa. And my co-host, Dr. Robin, has brought in this wonderful specialist researcher who knows everything inside and out about condoms and has been blowing my paradigms up around condom use. One last question for you, Dr. Crosby, is what are some common mistakes people make when using condoms?
Oh, my gosh, that's a wonderful question. Probably the most common of all is not putting the condom on when sex begins. People often, and in many of our studies, we're looking at 40% of the participants telling us that recently they've had sex where they've begun, and they put the condom on only later. So perhaps before they feel like they're getting ready to have their ejaculation. So this is very common. Also common is taking it off before sex is over. And we think that may occur often because men may feel that their erection is kind of waning a bit, and of course they want to cover up that little feeling because that often threatens their ego, and one thing they blame that loss of erection on may be the condom, so they take the condom off and go back to having sex.
So then the whole point of using a condom is lost.
Completely lost.
In those two things. What is the percentage now of condoms actually not working or breaking? I know that was one of those things when I was younger. Was it 97%, I think, foolproof, that they would not break?
Well, I can tell you with absolute certainty, having done one of the world's largest studies on that topic, funded by the National Institutes of Health in the United States, that condoms will not break as long as they're used correctly. So breakage is not something that's inevitable. People used to think, and I remember learning in high school, the same thing, that 3 out of 100 will break.
Right.
Well, those 3 out of 100 were errors on the men using them or on their partners. Oil-based lubricants. People don't think, but something as simple as chocolate sauce, which is often introduced into sexual acts, can have enough oil to erode the latex and cause the breakage. Whipped cream. When people don't use the water-based lubricants, they may use something else. And, of course, all of a sudden, the condom breaks. And we blame the condom. And, of course, that's entirely inappropriate. So condoms don't have to break if we know how to use them. It's like everything else in life. When people who first got contact lenses Did they know automatically, intuitively? Were they born with a knowledge of how to put those in? Of course not. They had to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't take the time to teach people condoms.
We don't. Sorry, we lost that one sentence. People don't take the time to.
We don't teach people how to use condoms the way we would teach them to put in contact lenses.
Okay.
And if we did that with our young people, they would learn that you have to put it on before penetration, that you can't use oil-based lubricants, that you really shouldn't let it contact sharp objects like teeth, that the condom you put on for oral sex has to be taken off before you start having penile vaginal sex. You can't use the same one for both jobs. So these are things that we should be teaching young people.
Say that one again.
Well, you can't switch condoms, you can't switch acts. Let's say going from oral to vaginal and use the same condom. You need to change those condoms out.
Okay. I didn't know that either. Is it?
And of course,
but if your condoms had contact with teeth, say during oral sex, it's compromised. So in particular, that we wouldn't want to. But you would need a new condom for every different act. So you wouldn't take a condom from anal sex and insert it into a vagina, transferring bacteria.
Right.
So new condom for each different act.
Okay. There you go.
Rough fingernails, braces on teeth, jewelry that has sharp edges, all these things lead to condom breakage. And these are simple things to learn and avoid, but in the United States anyway, we're afraid to teach young people these things. And
you're absolutely right. Why do you think I
have
have this show? Because we're not talking about it, because we're not teaching the young. We're not comfortable with it. So thank you so much for coming on and helping me break some of my paradigms and blowing them off, pun intended, the table for me. But so you think that this is something that a father should or a mother should actually talk to?
Ideally, yes.
Ideally,
but
that
in the absence of that, then we should be supporting this on our internet sites, in our schools, anywhere possible, because, again, a little bit of knowledge can go a long way, and the breaking that you talked about will be a thing of the past.
Right. I wonder, I'm going to Google, I'm sure you have put out a YouTube on how to make maximum use of condoms, no?
Well, I have not, but that's a great idea.
Isn't that a great
we'll
idea?
Do that
because that would be a safe and readily available how-to for young men who want to learn, right? In a safe place, that are embarrassed to talk to their parents. We also had one man comment on my last sex YouTube, how to, have better sex with multiple partners. And certainly this is an answer, using the condom properly, finding the one that fits the best so that he has more pleasure, changing it with different partners, I think is what I heard you say.
Exactly.
Great. Any last words?
Not at all. I just wanted to say thank you for having me on your show, and I'm glad people are this interested and excited about better sex with latex.
It was my pleasure, literally.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Bye.
All right. Dr. Robin, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Oh, good. Thank you so much. He really knows his condom stuff.
He does know his condom stuff.
And it sounds like you just, I envy all of the different, I love the work that I get to do, but you really get so many different aspects of sex you get to do the research with, and different people, and that's awesome.
And even right now, I'm with Dr. Crosby at this beautiful mansion in Banff, and several of our other colleagues, and we're just working on sex research, developing new ideas, analyzing data, writing papers, exploring these concepts related to sexuality. So you can't really call it work. It's pretty great.
Right.
It's hard work, but it is enjoyable and it's rewarding.
Literally hard work.
Yes.
I would love to do this in my next lifetime. I think this is a whole area. But I really, as I was saying to Dr. Crosby, if we get more and more comfortable, and I know I just in doing 3 shows with you, I am much more comfortable talking about this without completely having a mini orgasm of a blush in talking. I so appreciate what you bring to this show with respect to sex and sexuality and the ways we can be more happy with sex.
Right. And if we have a minute,
Sure,
I'd love
yes,
to go
we do.
back to what you were saying before we talked to Dr. Crosby about when you were informally talking to friends and colleagues. 2 of the things they mentioned in terms of men feeling happier,
Right.
enjoying their sex more, you said they mentioned feeling desired was important and feeling, in some degree worshipped or revered, like adored.
Yes.
And not having a partner come in and nitpick every little thing, like why isn't the garbage out and all of these things. And this has really come out in my research as well. So if the women listeners partnered with men are listening in this last few minutes, I think this is really important that we take off our critical hats before we enter the bedroom and try and come to it with the positive energy that you advocate for so strongly on your show. And it works. It'll help women too. In one of the recent studies we did, we found one of the biggest distinguishers between women who had high desire, long maintained in their relationship, and women with low desire is basically just their perspective on things. Like the women who had high desire were like, sometimes the garbage isn't out, and sometimes your T-shirt is sweaty, but still we're together, right? I love you, and I'm excited by you, and let's do it anyway. But the women who had low desire really noticed all those tiny little things and did do that nitpicking that you were talking about earlier. So if you're one of those people and you know that you see problems everywhere and you tend to notice small things, that's going to impact your own sexual life, and it's going to impact your partner's sexual experience.
Yes.
And I think that's an issue that we should try and deal with on our own, so we don't turn it outwards to our partner, and so it doesn't influence our own desire and our lovemaking.
That is, I'm glad you brought us all the way back around, because I know that is the number one thing that I hear from my life balance clients, from my executive coaching clients, is they don't feel appreciated. They don't feel validated. They don't feel important. And in this day and age, when more and more of us women are in positions of power and are in positions of leadership, I had a friend the other day say to me, you're intimidating. And so when men are intimidating, they're not going to automatically, think that if they ask you out, that you're going to say they don't want to be rejected. And so, therein lies I love the way that you ...
Right.
If I start out with that, then a man is much more likely to go, oh, I think she actually wants me to pay some attention to her. The other thing too is, if we are softer, and if we say what we like about ourselves, and, I love it when you compliment me, then that will also, encourage the other side. And then the last thing is the 21-day fast from complaining that I do online. I'm about to do round 36. So for 3 years, almost 3 years, we try to go 21 days without complaining in a row.
That's amazing.
And I'll tell you something, the best feedback I get, the number one feedback I get, is from couples who their connection has done a 180 degree. And it is, their sex is better, not because they're talking about sex or they're wanting sex. It's because they're not complaining about each other and about everything around them. That's the number one thing. I have hundreds of emails from women saying, the first thing that happened was my husband is so attentive now and is so happy with me and brings me flowers and gives me massages. It's because I've stopped complaining. So you want better sex, you want better love, you want better relationships, you want more hope, you want happiness 88% of the time, quit complaining.
And there's great research on this. Dr. John Gottman is an amazing researcher and therapist, very, very famous, written many, many books, and has done really amazing research where he's observed couples in his lab communicating. And he has found the magic ratio of 5 to 1. So there must be, in a happy relationship, at least 5 times as many positive interactions between partners as there are negative. In that case, you're likely to be stable. But as soon as the ratio begins to tip towards equal or more negative interactions in a relationship than positive, then we get divorce. We get relationship breakdown. So at least we can be mindful
5
of
to
at least
1.
5
That's your
positive
homework.
things for every one negative thing that comes out of our mouth.
Absolutely. Dr. Robin, you are delightful. You're intelligent. You are a fabulous communicator, a great researcher. That's 4. And you have great hair. That's 5. And there's no negative. So I'm still
Thank
up. I am still up. We are out of
That bodes
time.
well for our relationship.
It does. It does. I'm still madly in love with you as a co-host. And it doesn't hurt that we were born in the same hospital. We got the same positive genes, I think, out of that hospital, right?
Right.
So until next month, I am going to wish you much joy, prosperity, unexpected love, unexpected money, unexpected success, and as well as the expected kind until next month. Thank you, Dr. Robin.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And that's it for today's show. Wrapping up with a couple of Balance Bar offerings. I am speaking at the Global Women's Conference on June 5th at the Anaheim Hilton. And the book Woman Changed the World is coming out June 10th on Amazon. I am on page 154. And then, as I mentioned, most importantly, round 36 of the 21-day Fast from Complaining with Dr. Marissa is going on online. So please do visit me at the number 4. balance.org. Sign up there, donate any amount to my peace work around the planet, and you'll get a certificate that will keep you honest as you not complain. Next week, I will be having a super audio visual show with renowned photographer and artist Layla Love. Please tune in to see her amazing artwork, especially since she is going blind, but that's not stopping her. So you don't want to miss it. Tune in at naturally high noon for Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balance with Dr. Marissa Pay. And soon on Thursdays, joining the NBC News Radio family. That's Thursdays on KCAA AM 1050 starting June 5th. So put that on your calendar for Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balance with Dr. Marissa Pay. That's P for positive, EI. And remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out. Perfect.